Picture this. You're walking down the street when suddenly there's an explosion. The crowd caves to herd instinct and runs. But not you. Not you. After a while, eventually, a man, sinister-looking man, walks towards you, and once he arrives, he says, greets you. Hello, brother. And that's when you realise your mistake. You see, due to your lifestyle of staying inside, probably playing board games, and never going outside to see the sun, and never once exercising, you resemble a little bit him. That's right, you are now a member of a Genestealer cult, entirely by accident. Don't worry, it's happened to us all. In fact, you haven't merely been mistaken for a Genestealer cultist, no, you've been mistaken for the commander of the entire cult. And the uprising is now in your hands. And to avoid any awkward conversations with, literally any other living person, you don't mention the mistake. You go along with it. Of course you do. Just like you have with everything else in your life so far. It's harrowing stuff. Trust me, I know. But don't worry. Glass Half Dead is here to solve your problems. In this video, I'm going to break down the rules and tactics of the Genestealer cult so that you, as the accidentally initiated Primus, I guess you'd be, don't have to have any, awkward conversations about how you're not actually a Genestealer cultist. Don't worry. But why should you trust me? I hear you psychically screech at me. I'm not some big YouTuber that talks about completely unfounded things and pretends like he actually knows what he's talking about, and that's what real YouTubers do. I mean, everybody knows the mark of a real YouTuber is doing weird little opening sketches and having a second camera, and I neither do that nor have that. Okay, everybody, we're going to run through this bit as quickly as we can, because chances are if you're watching this, you already know the basics of the Genestealer cult, and you're looking for a bit of refinement. So consider this very much a beginner's phase. It looks weird that my hands are just popping up. We'll work on it in the next video. Okay, we start with the Acolyte hybrids. First thing to note is that the hybrid and the fighter have an exactly the same identical stat line. The only difference being that a fighter you can only have a maximum of 4 of. It's the Acolyte leader that has a 1 higher leadership, 1 higher attack. Easy stuff. Now they're all armed with an auto pistol, a cultist knife, a rending claw, and blasting charges. Note that blasting charges are not the same as demolition charges. Very different. Now up to 4 of your Acolyte hybrids can be fighters. Now any of the models can replace their auto pistol with a hand flamer. A leader may instead replace its cultist knife with a bone sword, or its auto pistol and cultist knife with a lash whip and bone sword. The bone sword's the king here, but we'll get to that later. Well, not with the Acolyte hybrid. Now this is where things really kick off with the Acolyte hybrids. An Acolyte fighter may replace their cultist knife and rending claw with a heavy rock drill, heavy rock saw and heavy rock cutter, or demolition charges. Then one Acolyte hybrid in your kill team may take a cult icon. Cult icon does the same thing for all of them that can take it. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for models within 6 inches for a friendly model with a cult icon in the fight phase. And note that all of your models have Cult Ambush. After deployment, but before the first battle round, roll the d6 for this model. On a 5+, the model can immediately move up to 6 inches. Which means if things are moving averagely, you should be able to move a third of your kill team. So let's say you have 12 models, which is a very achievable number with Genestealer cults. You can move 4 of them 6 inches before the first turn. After deployment, before the first turn. Now I've said a lot of words there, and I haven't related anything to anything. I mean, what's a rock cutter, what's a rock saw? We'll get to those later, we're powering through. Next up we have an aberrant. 6 inches, weapon skill 3 up, ballistic skill 6 up. Strength 5, now that's important, but even more important than strength 5 is T4. This is our only toughness 4 model, not including Genestealers. But Genestealers will be mentioned in this, don't worry. 2 wounds, our only 2 wound model. 2 attacks, leadership 7, save 5 up. Now 2 wounds are great, as we know if we've ever faced Primaris Marines. But a 5 up save is, well, it's not great, I'll be honest. This model is armed with a power pick and rending claw. I'm going to give you a little hint right away. With an aberrant, there is never a benefit to using the rending claw. That is always the worst weapon. I don't know why they have it, presumably for thematic reasons, but whatever weapon you give them other than the rending claw, either the power pick or the power hammer, that is the better option, no matter what. And of course, this model may replace its power pick with a power hammer, which will be relevant when we talk about that. Also, we have to note Bestial Vigor. When inflicting damage on this model, reduce the damage of the attack to 1 by a minimum of 1. There aren't a huge amount of 2 damage weapons, which would instantly kill these guys. But also note that you tend to round up. So if it's a 3 damage weapon, it will be doing 2 damage. So 2 wounds not brilliant in that regard. However, do note that it says reduce the damage. So not just the damage you take, but also when it comes to an injury roll, but even if the weapon did 2 damage or 3 damage, you're still reducing the number of dice that the enemy gets to roll by that amount. Now come the Neophyte Hybrids. Some think of these as our bread and butter, because they're dirt cheap and, they're dirt cheap. I don't have much else to say, but they are dirt cheap. They are also pretty much our only ranged options. Certainly they carry all of our special weapons and all of our heavy weapons. However, it should be noted that if you're planning on your shooting being effective, you're probably playing the wrong army. Genestealer cults are not about the ranged attacks, which is why Neophytes are such an odd choice. Honestly, I would rather they all had a second attack, a knife and no gun. As it is, they're in a very odd spot. But anyway, let's keep going. So, this is standard Guardsman stat line. I probably don't need to tell you. The only benefit here is, again, the leader gets 1 extra attack. Now, again, 4 of them can be gunners, and 1 can be a leader. You can have a choice of autogun or shotgun with any model in the kill team, except the leader may replace his autogun and auto pistol with one of the following pistols and one of the following melee weapons: auto pistol, bolt pistol, or web pistol, chainsaw, power maul, or power pick. To be honest, I would probably say keep it bog standard, go with the bolt pistol and chainsword. Obviously, we're going to cover that more in the next video, but that's my initial read of things. The power maul is actually quite nice, and it's only 1 point, gives him +2 strength. Suddenly, he's actually quite a big hitter. But you probably don't want your leader to be anywhere near the enemy. He's only got a 5 up save, 1 wound. He will die very quickly. Toughness 3, what can you do? In fact, Toughness 3, what can you do? Should actually be the Genestealer cult's motto, I think. Okay, 2 of your gunners may replace their autogun with a flamer, grenade launcher, or Weber, and then 2 other gunners may replace their autogun with a heavy stabber, mining laser, or seismic cannon. 1 of the Neophytes can take a cult icon. Now let's just quickly go over the Neophyte gunners there. You can take a total of 4. However, you can only ever have a maximum of 2 flamers, 2 Webers, or 2 grenade launchers, even if you are taking 4 gunners. That's the hard limit. 2 and 2. Special weapons, heavy weapons, 2 and 2. 2 and 2. Toughness 3, what you gonna do? 2 and 2, toughness 3, what you gonna do? Let's keep going. Why am I saying this? Finally, we come to the hybrid metamorph, and when I say finally, I mean in these data sheets, we still have the Genestealers to talk about. Hybrid metamorphs, let's go. So, hybrid metamorph leader, again, same thing. The metamorph leader simply has 1 plus leadership and 1 plus attack, otherwise they're the same. And of course, equipment is different too. So the models are with an auto pistol, rending claw, metamorph talon, and blasting charges. 1 hybrid metamorph in your kill team can be a leader. The model, now when it says the model, quick note, it does mean, or it does include, the Metamorph Leader. The Leader can do all of these things as well as the standard hybrid Metamorph. So it may do any of the following. Replaces Rending Claw with the Metamorph Talon. Replaces Metamorph Talon with the Metamorph Whip. Or replaces Metamorph Talon and Rending Claw with the Metamorph Claw. This model may replace its Auto Pistol with a Hand Flamer. Interesting to note. A Metamorph Leader may take a Bone Sword. One hybrid Metamorph in your kill team may take a Cult Icon. Now that we're at the end of all the models that can take a Cult Icon, I think it's pretty clear to see that you want to take it, if you're going to take it at all, on a Neophyte. Because when it comes down to it, all of the models are the same resiliency, they're the same toughness. T3, what you're going to do. And 5 up save, 1 wound. So, yeah. You may as well take it on the cheapest model possible because it is going to become a target. If you're putting together a list and a Neophyte Hybrid has a Cult Icon, it's going to be charging up next to your big, heavy hitters. He's a force multiplier. So, actually, odd as it might sound, you're turning a 5-point Neophyte into a 10-point model with that Cult Icon. Having him killed is kind of good, because it means they didn't kill, the 2 Rock Swords and the 2 Rock Cutters and the Metamorph Leader with Bone Swords that you've got right next to him. That's fine. That's a good outcome if he's the one out of those 5 models that dies. Okay, and here we have the ranged weapons list. We're going to go through it quite quickly because most of it is bog standard. There's not really much to talk about. However, there are some interesting notes. The first thing I want to note is the Flamer. I personally have had a lot of concern about whether or not a Flamer is actually worthwhile. I'm here to tell you, after doing the math hammer, the theory crafting on it, Flamers are actually really good. They just are. I think they're actually our best weapon outside of the heavies. So, to be fair, they cost 3 points. So, yeah. But, of course, they're only 8-inch range. However, Kill Team Arena is just released. If we're thinking about Kill Team Arena, 8-inch range is no bad thing at all. We're going to mention Hand Flamers because they are the things that both the Metamorph Hybrids and the Acolyte Hybrids can take. Now, it's only a pistol D3, it's only strength 3. So it's questionable as to its use. And also it's 2 points. So, difficult to say. And when I say it's difficult to say, let's be clear, what I mean is I've already done the theory crafting, so I know what the answer is, but that's for another video. Now we have our heavy weapons. The heavy stuff with the mining laser, where's the other one? And the seismic cannon, sorry. We're all right next to each other right here. I'm going to give you a hint right now, unless you have something very, very specific in mind, the seismic cannon is the best gun. It just theory crafts out as being, it does the most damage. There's not much more to add. I suppose I'll give a quick note to webbers. We are the only faction, I think, in Kill Team that can take a web gun of any sort. The only time it would be of benefit is if you are against Death Guard, as they have a higher toughness than strength. Everything else either has a higher strength than toughness or they're equal. And it costs you too many points, to be honest. You'd be better off taking a second seismic cannon, probably. I mean, it's your choice. But do you want to win the tournament or not? Follow Glass Half Dead. Yeah. And now we have the melee weapons. This looks like a big list. And it is, because we're going to have to get into the nitty and the gritty of what the hell the rock weapons do. Let's go. So while I've been doing my theory crafting, there have been a few little interesting nuggets. Firstly, any model that can take a Rending Claw, at the bottom here, the Rending Claw is the best weapon they can take. Apart from the Aberrants, obviously, and the Metamorph Leader. His Bone Swords are better. However, Rending Claw beats out the Metamorph Talon and the Metamorph Claw. and the cultist knife. Although the cultist knife gives you a second attack, it's a thing, I'll explain it, don't worry. Also a quick note here, the Power Maul, that is the weapon that your neophyte leader could have taken, plus your strength -1 AP. Very nice, it's only 1 point. If you do want to get stuck in, that is a great weapon to take. Let's talk about our 3 Acolyte Fighter special weapons, the Heavy Rock Cutter, the Heavy Rock Drill, the Heavy Rock Saw. Let's start with the Heavy Rock Saw because it doesn't have any special text. Strength ×2, so it's hitting at strength 8. It's AP -4. It's damage 2. That is an amazing weapon. That weapon in any other team faction would be an auto take. And it's only 3 points? 4? 4 points. Now obviously 4 points isn't cheap by any means, and you are taking an 8-point model up to a 12-point model, but the sheer damage it can put out is insane. You want a Rock Saw. Probably 2 in your kill team at all times. Now we go back to the Rock Cutter, arguably the second best weapon, or the first best weapon, depending on what Lemon's life is giving you, I guess. So again, it's exactly the same as the Rock Saw. Strength ×2, AP -4, damage 2. That's great so far. And again, it's 4 points. However, we have special text. The first thing I will note is that we're subtracting 1 from the hit roll. So instead of hitting on 3s, we're hitting on 4s. That's actually quite a big hit to take. So, why would you ever take a Rock Cutter instead of a Rock Saw? Good question. The answer's right here. Roll a d6 each time a model suffers damage from this weapon. If you roll higher than the model's remaining number of wounds, it is instantly taken out of action. When attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit. So, this effect only occurs if you have done damage. So you have to hit, you have to get through their armor, you have to wound. As soon as you have wounded, they lose their wound. Which means if they're a 1 wound model, they have 0 wounds. It is once you have 0 wounds, you roll your dice. If you roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, you kill them. Yeah. It's an instant kill weapon. You don't cause an injury wound, you remove them from play. It's broken AF, guys. That's why we want to take as many of these as we possibly can. Nice. Also, because you have the -1 to hit, it's highly recommended that if you can be a combat or a zealot, you give that to the Rock Cutter, as it gives them an extra attack, which will help mitigate the -1 to hit. Also, Cult Icon, get it close to these guys if you're going to take one at all. Now, the Rock Drill was the odd one of these 3. Strength ×2 again, so is strength 8, that's fine. AP -3, so we're 1 less AP, although AP -3 is still pretty damn good. But damage 1. Okay, let's keep going. Also, before I read this, I will note, it is also 5 points, so it is 1 point more than either a cutter or a saw. Roll a d6 each time a model suffers damage from this weapon. On a 2+, the model suffers a mortal wound, and you can roll another d6. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. This time, the model suffers a mortal wound on a 3+. Keep rolling a d6, increasing the score required to cause a mortal wound by 1 each time until the model is taken out of action or the roll has failed. So why does the Rock Drill exist? Because it's been ported straight over from 40k. In 40k, the Rock Drill has a place. If you're going up against a vehicle or a knight or a special character or just anything with over 3 wounds, the Rock Drill is going to deal more damage. Because of course, with the Rock Cutter, you are rolling against their wounds. If they have 6 wounds, you can't deal your effect. Luckily in Kill Team, almost everything has 1 wound. Occasionally you get a 2 wound model, and every now and again you get things like a Lictor or a Tyranid Warrior with 3 or 4 wounds. But nothing has over 6. You can always get your Rock Cutter ability to go off, which is why spending the 1 extra point for the drill is a little bit crazy. One more thing to note here is the bone sword, as I've mentioned it a few times. It's just strength user, so it'll be strength 4, AP -2. Pretty useful, all things considered. And finally, we have the points cost for everything. As I've been going through this video, I've been mentioning points costs. This is for you so you can finally see them for yourself. As I say here, Power Maul for 1 point, an amazing purchase. However, it has to go on a neophyte leader. Realistically, I consider the neophyte leader the only leader you take, because the other leaders are just too, you'd only take them if you were going into combat with them. And if you're definitely going into combat, you don't want them to be your leader. It's a bit of a catch-22. Again, a flamer's 3 points. Quite expensive, but it is possibly our best special weapon. So, you know. And note that an aberrant is 15 points. However, it has to take either a power pick or a power hammer, which means realistically, it's either 18 points or 19. And having done the maths, if you're going to spend 18 points on a model, spend 19 instead, take the power hammer. Yes, it's -1 to hit, but it's better. It's just better. I suppose the only thing to note down here is a heavy stubber is 0 points, which means you can take a neophyte gunner at 6 points, and that's it. 6 points for a heavy stubber is pretty good, actually. The seismic cannon is better, but it's 2 points more. So you've really got to weigh that up. A demolition charge is something I didn't mention, really. It's 3 points, so it's the same as a flamer. And I'm going to show you why I didn't mention it. Demolition charge. So, firstly, it's a grenade. So if you throw this, you can't throw another grenade. It's D6, which is nice, yeah. Strength 8, AP -3, damage D3. Now that's amazing. Each demolition charge can only be used once per battle. That's big. That's big. That is big. And the reason that's big is because all of your models that can take it have a ballistic skill of a 4. And you have to be within 6 inches and not in close combat. You don't want to be throwing that expensive weapon on an Overwatch. So I don't feel it's worth the points investment. But of course that's up to you, and it is something I'm going to be exploring in the next video. So anyway, this has been the beginner's start to Genestealer Cults. It has taken significantly longer than I thought it would to do this. I had planned to go over all of the tactics. We've got all 18 here. I'd put them in piles. It was going to be awesome. But I don't want this video to be too long, and it's already like 40 minutes. Hopefully I'm going to cut that down for you guys. When I come back with the next one, I think what I'm going to be doing is indeed going over the tactics. All 18 of them, so that we can really see why we would use any of them in any particular situation. Are any of them duds and we can actually just take them out? Or do they all have a place? And what are the ones that we want to have at the absolute top of our pile? Because they are real winners. And there are some real winners in there. But that can wait until the next time. Maybe Wednesday. I don't know. I don't know when this is releasing. But anyway, this has been Glass Half Dead. And I hope that the Four-Armed Emperor is giving you like 4 hand jobs at the same time. I don't know. Glass Half Dead out. Do the bloody video now. I've done that stupid sketch. But why should you trust me? I'm not some big YouTuber that talks absolute. Don't swear. This is 10 seconds of footage. Fuck. I mean, everybody knows that a real YouTuber does stupid things like starts there perfectly sit. Or you could talk normally. Fuck's sake.